This is Ibrox.
We've talked about the pressures and stuff like that come with Rangers being the biggest and most successful team in the country. But when you're, and I don't want to be harsh on any of the lads that played, but like you've just said yourself, when they're not quite good enough, but the standards and the expectations are still there, is it almost like you just can't put the pieces together and it becomes more and more frustrating, and that creates even worse results sometimes?
Yeah. Listen, you can. I've been in enough dressing rooms where you can shout, you can bawl, you can string people up against the wall, and you might get a reaction. And then there's some groups that if you do that, you'd lose them even more. So there's different levels to dressing rooms that you've been in. I think the dressing room we were in it couldn't cope with that, so we had to find another way. We had to stick together. We had to keep encouraging, and I think that's the kind of philosophy that Mark liked as well. He didn't like confrontation. He didn't like harsh words or anything like that. It was a learning environment in terms of videoing and the way you talk to people. So that was his philosophy to it, which, coming from an old school background, is a little bit different to how I had it as a kid. But that's the way you wanted to do it, and you had to respect that. Just strange. Some really good lads in there, some talented boys, but the mix wasn't right. Unfortunately. And I think a few of the lads said if they stuck to the way they were from the Championship up to the Prem, with young lads playing football, and maybe didn't bring the likes of the older boys in, they might have done better. So it works both ways.
When you talked about Warburton there and how he wanted it to be a learning environment, I think you're right in what you're saying. When we're going to say, top of my head, Neil Warnock, very old school, works for him. People connect to it. In my opinion, one of the better managers that England has produced. Warburton, very much in the modern mould of a manager, like you say, he wants people to learn. He seems quite a softly spoken kind of person that wants to get his message across, doesn't believe in screaming or shouting. Stupid question probably here, but is that where him and Joey Barton really didn't get on?
You know what? I think Joe's done the interview, hasn't he, where he's explained everything. And it was a weird one, to be honest with you, because there was absolutely nothing from the altercation that happened on the training ground. Was just a group of lads who had been destroyed by Celtic and wanted to get the frustrations out. And the training standard was very good, and it was very intense. There was a lot of tackling, there was a lot of shouting, there's a lot of intensity to pressing, and it was like, wow, I think we turned the corner here. And unfortunately, I think there was a tackle made, and as you do, that happens on a Sunday. There's a bit of argy-bargy, nothing to it. And from then on, I don't know what's happened in the dressing rooms or in the coach's room after. It's all gone bananas. So from what I actually seen of what it was nonsense, to be honest with you. It was just lads trying to get the frustration of a bad result out of them. And it was good, to be honest with you. It was good to see that they had a bit of fight and a bit of tenacity. So, yeah. And then it just went absolute bananas after that, and Joe left. Weird times.
I think when you look at the start of the season, it was relatively rocky. Like you say, it wasn't the best to start. It was, I think Hamilton was 1-1 at home. I think 2 draws, 2 wins, if I remember correctly. We will come on to a far happier time for yourself at Parkhead, don't worry. But obviously, you touched on before, you came up against Celtic and it wasn't the greatest day on the planet. You didn't actually play that day. Obviously, you were on the bench. But what are your memories of the day, just in total? Like the funny things, the difficult things?
What's the build-up, to be honest? Like you mentioned there, I've never experienced that kind of build-up from, a week or two in advance. Obviously, walking around the villages and the town, people would say, hey, we need to do that, we need to win this, you need to be at it. And that was constant every day. I've never experienced that. So I was like, there's going to be some atmosphere here. So obviously then you get prepared, you get on the bus, you get off, all their fans are there, thousands of them, obviously giving you a nice welcome with throwing money at you because they think you're skins. So they start picking the money up, giving you vile abuse, and you think this is going to be tasty, this. So, and then we go out to warm up, and the noise already, even warm-ups, the amount of people that are there was frightening. The noise when you came out, even like look now, I've still got the pictures of young kids there with the grandmas or granddads, and their faces are red, and they're like, because you've got the blue shirt on, they don't like you, they're not making you welcome. So all those little things stick in my mind, and just the atmosphere, because obviously you've got all this here, and then in this corner you've got this big army of blue in the corner trying to cheer the lads on. So it was all like a new experience. I enjoyed the atmosphere, but then what unfolded on the pitch wasn't great at all, to be honest with you. So mixed feelings.
With the game itself, obviously it didn't really work out, but you didn't get on the pitch that day. Is it more difficult being on the bench watching that kind of thing unfold than it is actually maybe even being on the pitch? Yeah,
definitely. Actually, I think Big Phil got sent off, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
And I thought, well, I'll get on here. I'll get on, because just a straight swap in and out. And I think Mark decided to go a different way. Might have even changed formation. If I think
he remember correctly. Joey Barton in like central defence at some point.
I think he did. Yeah. So I was busy warming up and down, trying to get fit, get warm. And then he decided to go a different way. And I just sat back down on my backside. You'd rather be on the pitch, definitely. Definitely. It's hard watching.
With the dressing room that you had at the time, we spoke about young players and things like that. But I mean, there was big personalities there. You know, we've talked about Joey, obviously. But Josh Windass, young lad, but big personality. Garner didn't have the greatest time at Rangers, but at the same time, big character. Tav was in there as well. Maybe not the character or as advanced as he is now, but still there. What was said in the dressing room afterwards, and I don't necessarily mean was who fought who, but like who was the person that stood up and said, you know, come on, like that.
I can remember obviously being quiet. Mm-hmm. It was very quiet when I walked in, but then I think you had the likes of Kenny Miller, Waldo, I think, and they were saying, listen, that this ain't good enough. I think Joe might have said something as well, saying that's not good enough. That can't happen. That level of standard and performance was pathetic. That can't happen. And then, if I remember correctly, I think Mark said a little bit as well. But there's, what can you say? Mm-hmm. What can you say? There's a time and a place to maybe say things, and when you've just been spanked by your neighbours, an enemy, maybe less is better sometimes, and leave it until the Monday. But there was a few words said, nothing that would cause a reaction, but some home truths were said in a politish way. And then obviously we came in on that Monday, and to me, the training went up, the level of intensity went up, and there's a little bit of devil in everybody, which is what you need. Because if you train hard through the week, then the games become easier. But then obviously all that went off with Joe, so it just kind of went away after that.
With moments like that, I think it's often said there's people who are like Rangers men, Rangers people that understand Rangers Football Club. And I think Kenny Miller is probably the prime example of that squad. Like you mentioned before, Lee Wallace. Is that when characters like that come to the fore, the likes of Kenny Miller, Rangers men who understand what that defeat would have meant to people?
Well, I think that's the first place you look at. I mean, I was 37, so I was an old head, but I've never experienced playing for Rangers. So obviously I was looking up to them myself, I was watching them every day thinking, how do these work on a daily basis? How do they hold themselves? How do they present themselves to fans and media? So they're the people that I looked up to when I was 37. So you like to think the younger lads were looking that way as well. But they were good lads, and they had the club at heart, them too. And you can tell it hurt them a hell of a lot after that game.
You mentioned Tav there before. Tav got an awful lot of stick at times, and has been through a difficult time. And I mean, I personally am a real big fan of Tav, and I think a lot of other fans are as well. But when you think back to games like that and times like that, when you know he probably did get a lot of stick and he's been criticised in a lot of different corners and ridiculed by opposition fans and stuff like that, how does it make you feel now to see someone who is like one of the best right backs in the whole of the UK, let alone Scotland, and he's captaining the side to like 55th trophies and hopefully 56th? How proud does that make you feel when you see what he's up to now?
Listen, he's been through the journey, really, hasn't he? He's done a hell of a lot of years there. Been through some hard times. So to see somebody last that long at Rangers is an achievement, because it's such a pressured environment and the standards are very high. So to survive that long in the first place is credit, and not just that, to actually improve year on year, and to get better is you tip your hat. That's the tip of the hat as well. As a captain, I'd be honest, I'd never seen that. I didn't think he was a standout captain in the dressing room in the way he talked or anything. But again, it must have been a masterstroke. He's given the armband and he's absolutely shone, and he's been brilliant. He's been a great leader for them.